a stand, I'm taking a stand for myself, or I'm taking a stand for a situation, or I'm taking a stand for whether it's politics or what it is. I'm taking a stand in what I believe in. Okay. And now I need that structure fulfillment to test. It's not about what's right or wrong, Bobby. It's about what works, what doesn't work, and what's next. So part of having a stand, part of having a structure fulfillment is to start to test what will work for me, what will get me toward the finish line. You know, President Kennedy, I was a young girl, but I just remember him standing up and he was given this speech about how we were going to go to the moon. And we didn't have computers were the size of a house back then. We didn't have any way to get to the moon at the time he said it, but he had a dream about it and he was taking a stand for it. Now, once he took a stand, he enrolled other people in his vision. I don't know if you know this or not, but his speech writers, before he gave that speech, before it was time to give that speech, people were saying, you can't say that. We can't say we're going to go to the moon. But he decided that he was going to be fanatical about going to the moon. And he enrolled other people in his vision of going to the moon. Christopher Columbus enrolled the Queen and said, look, give me the money, give me the backing. I've got to get, the world is not flat. Let's have a different way to look at things. So with a stand, the future isn't predictable. However, because of the force of your declaration and a well thought out structure to be able to put things in place and to duplicate those things, people will start to support you at level 3. They will start to back you and bet, well, maybe this could happen. Finally, we get to what is a certainty. Now, a certainty is I don't see the sun yet for tomorrow morning, but it is a certainty that I know that the sun is going to come up tomorrow morning. Why? Because I've seen it come up over and over and over again every morning. Even if somebody says the sky is falling, I absolutely know with certainty, and everybody just about that's on this webinar would bet that the sun's going to come up tomorrow. So when we get to certainty, strictly speaking, no possibilities are actually certain. Nevertheless, we all live as if we know some things are definitely going to happen. So possibilities that are certain to happen are very predictable. Almost nobody would bet against their failing. We don't need to declare that a certainty will happen, nor should we set up a structure of fulfillment to ensure that it's going to happen, because that structure has already been in place. Gravity is already in place. The motion of the stars and the moon and the sun that's already been in existence. That structure of fulfillment is already there. That's how we know that the sun will come up tomorrow. So you have the ability in your life to have a life that's worth living. But really what that depends on is your ability to recognize where you are right now. You may have circumstances and that makes you think that you're just at the stage of the fantasy, but actually that's not really true. You wouldn't be on this call tonight if you weren't already at least thinking about moving to this level 3 area and taking a stand for your life. Once you know what it is you want, and you know that when you get to the part on taking a stand for yourself, it's about making a declaration, it's about making a promise to yourself and to others, and then having that happen. So as we've moved through that, I want us to actually notice that all human beings, strictly speaking, the day that you were conceived, you were either a dream or a wish or a fantasy the day that you were born. We all are unlimited human possibilities that have yet to happen. And who I am right now is not who I will be tomorrow. So I'm still a total pure possibility about what could happen tomorrow. some of you wave if you kind of get what I'm talking about here, and let me know that you're hearing where I'm going with this. Being a possibility and transforming your possibilities into stands are intimately related. I can't be a possibility and live in a fantasy at the same time. So just declaring that I'm going to have a business starts to move me from the fantasy area to the dream and wish area. Once I get the dream and the wish and I start thinking, but I don't think even if you're thinking, I don't think I can have it happen, you're thinking about taking a stand even when you say that. Sometimes we say that people are lazy when actually they're not lazy at all, but they don't see the possibility. And if they don't see the possibility, they're saying, why should I even try? So now that we've nailed down these 4 different domains of possibility, I want us to look at where we actually, how we move up on this ladder. So where we start, where someone at the bottom rung of the ladder is what I would call the victim mentality. And that's when we're in the mud. You'll feel flatlined. If you feel depressed, you're in a conversation, I might as well not try because I'm going to lose anyway. This is a total, and I'm not saying that you're wrong because you feel depressed. I'm saying that if we don't recognize where we are, we have no possibility to take a stand for anything to be different. And I don't want anyone's possibility that's on this webinar tonight to be that I lose. And that's just, and we give up from there. There are ways to move up a step at a time, and each step that you take up the ladder of possibility creates more courage. You aren't going to gain courage from down on the floor on the mat, but if you can just get enough energy in this level, in this I lose level, you don't have much energy. So you put yourself around other people that have energy and you start moving from there. The second level, the first step up on this ladder from the depression is actually anger, at being antagonistic, being aggressive. Now, you might think that that's a wrong place to be, but there's much more energy available to you when you get fired up, even if now I'm not saying to hit somebody. I'm not saying to take action on your anger, but our anger tells us that there is something that we don't feel is quite right in our life, and we want things to be better. In this area of the ladder, you might be in a conversation, and as a teenager I would hear a lot, I won't do it and you can't make me, you aren't my boss. And even if you are my boss, I may act like I'm going to let you tell me what to do, but I'm not going to do what you tell me to do because I don't believe you have my best interest at heart. So one of the things in the anger, the antagonistic, and the aggressor level of commitment, definitely you want to get from depression to where you get some more anger and get this fire built up in your belly, because it's moving you one rung up on the ladder. But you want to go, how do I now translate this anger into something positive that will support me and my dreams? From this place, the conversation that you're having is, if I lose, we all lose. So I'm not talking about that this is right or wrong. I'm saying that human behavior and our human thoughts create our realities. So if we have these realities, and if you can recognize that you're here, I won't do it, you can't make me, if I lose, we all lose, I'm angry, nobody cares about me, I'm going to go out and eat worms. If this is where we are, if we could just not judge it, but we could recognize that we're there, we would have the ability to affect change and to move up from that place. So the next place after I lose, so we all lose, step 2 is, all right, I'm going to do it, but I'm doing it out of duty and obligation. So in the conversation you might be in here is, I'm here, ain't I? What more do you want from me? Geez, I'm coming to the webinars every week. What more do you expect? So you have a tendency, and here's the problem with this level. At this obligation level, you take action. You may even experience some success from this level, but you won't enjoy the success that you experience. So people at this level are often workaholics. You work very hard. You sometimes get results, but you feel exhausted all the time from trying so hard that you lose your passion and you lose your zest from life. Sometimes you'll be submissive at this place. I'll do it, but you need to tell me exactly what to do. And here's the problem with that. Then if things go good, it's because Coach Gregory did it, or your boss did it, or even God did it. And if things go bad, then it's God's fault. Why didn't he fix it better for me? Why didn't he bring me a miracle? Or it's Coach Gregory or somebody else's fault. So from this place of duty and obligation, it lets you off the hook. You're doing it from this submissive place, not from the joy and the zest of life. The conversation here is, maybe I'll win, but I'm not really sure that I can trust you. So I'm going to try a little bit at a time. I'm going to try it just an inch at a time. Well, guess what, guys and gals? That doesn't work in building a business. When you're standing on the diving board, you'll break your neck if you're trying to just stick one toe in the water. And before you jump into the water, it's fear. Once you make the dive, even if you do a belly flop and it's not the best dive in the whole world, if you have a support system there to protect you and to back you up and to say, okay, that worked a little bit, now let's have it work better, then the excitement is actually in the dive. It isn't even often about the result. Yes, you want a good result, but the joy and the zest and the passion of life is between the time that you are on the diving board when you're scared to death and the time that you actually take the motion to dive into the water. Here's what I'm saying. Girls, before you kiss the boy, it's fear. While you're kissing the boy, it's excitement. The next step on this commitment ladder is called preference. It's the beginning of acceptance, and it's strongly accepting. So, but sometimes when you're on this place, sometimes when you get to this place, you go, okay, I've done one dive. I've put my toes in the water. I want things to be successful. I'm starting to see that they could be successful. So this is the first place where you're really starting to take a stand for yourself in the domains of possibility. But the fear that comes from here is because you don't know all the action steps yet. So you're strongly accepting, but there's a lot of questions. So then you go, let's be rational. How can I make sure that I'm going to be successful with this? And this conversation is a conversation of, I am taking a stand for myself. I am going to win. If you win, that's okay with me as well. The next level that we're going to look at is, now you're not just accepting, but your preference is to accept. And from this fourth step on the ladder, sometimes it's our doctors, our nurses, caretakers, moms. We're exhausted, but our conversation is, I'm a good person. I really want it to work, and I want it to work for everybody. But you're coming so strong from taking care of others that you forget to take care of yourself sometime. So from this level, you're in a conversation of you win, but you're so involved that the other person wins that you don't pay enough attention to that you get to win too. So sometimes here you can be exhausted. And I'll tell you something else. As Christians, or I don't care what faith you are, I just use the word Christian because that's what I am. But whether you're Jewish, whether you're Christian, whatever faith you have, sometimes we go to this place. Well, people that have money must be greedy. You have belief systems. So you have this stand that you took that you want to be successful, but then you have this other conversation going on that people with money are greedy, or I don't know if I can trust people that have even a little bit of money. I don't know if I'll be a good person if I have money. Well, guess what? If you're a jerk and you're broke, you're still going to be a jerk when you've got money. If you're a good person when you're broke, you're still going to be a good person when you've got money. If you don't have any time now, you're not going to have the time to build this business. So you've got to decide, yes, I want to help other people. Yes, I want to cook dinner for my family, but I am worthy to be able to also build my business and take care of myself, because if I don't take care of myself, other people won't win as well, because I won't be around long to be able to help them. All right, so now let's talk about the person that's passionate and enrolled. You stand for your highest ideal. You look in the mirror and you say, I may have made mistakes in the past, but I am not the mistakes that I made. I may have circumstances. I may have money circumstances. I may have time circumstances. I may, whatever that circumstance is, only you can fill in that blank. But I know that I'm passionate, and I know that I'm enrolled in my life. Life is an enrollment game. You're either enrolling yourself into your success, or you're going to enroll yourself into your past, that it's going to be the same way that it's always been. You're either going to enroll yourself into your conversation of what you want to have from your life for your life, or you're going to get enrolled by the person that believes you can't have what you want to have for your life. So this is about, you don't want to be a salesperson. I'm sorry, you've been selling since the day you were born. The day you were born, you cried to get your diapers changed. You cried so that somebody would give you a bottle of milk. And then you started learning around the age of 2 or 3 years old, or hopefully you started to learn that crying wasn't the best way to always get what you want. So you learned to start to cooperate. You learned to start to explain your vision. There is a way to, I'm not saying if you're married, I'm not saying that you should go to your mom or your dad and shake your finger in their face and say, I will do what I want to do, and I am going to have this business be a success. I'm saying that you need to find that key to be able to talk to them about your vision and your passion in such a way that at least a few people get enrolled in that vision with you. And if you're a husband or a wife and your partner isn't quite there with you yet, passionate as you are about having this business work for you, you need to look at them and you need to say one of two things. Honey, I know that in the past I've made some mistakes. I'm asking you, I'm telling you, I am really totally committed to this. And I'm asking, what would it take from you to back me one more time to have this happen? That might be one conversation. A second conversation might be, under different circumstances, honey, I've made decisions in the past and I've always had it work out. I know that I've worked hard, but I want to build this business so that I don't have to work hard forever. And I'm asking you to back me one more time, even though it's going to take some of my time to get this business built correctly. I'm asking you to trust me if I'm going to spend $10,000 to do this rehab and flip this property. I'm asking you to trust me. I haven't taken us to bankruptcy before, and I won't do it now. So either you've made mistakes in the past that might have been mistakes financially, you need to forgive yourself, and you need to create forgiveness among your partners and the other people in your life and enroll them so that they will back you again. At this place, you want to be in the conversation of we're both going to win. It isn't about me. It's about my whole family. It isn't about just the money. It's about creating a legacy. It's about having something in common with my children and with my grandchildren as we go into this business, as we move forward, as we create a life worth living. I want to have that life, and I'm not willing to settle for less. I'm not even willing to settle for normal, because I'm a fanatic about settling for more. The next step up, step 6 out of being in the passion enrolled part, is I'm open to life's mysteries, and we have an eternity to figure out. Now, this doesn't mean to sit and just think about it. Look, some of you have been thinking about it for years. You got to start taking some action. But here's what I mean about this. Instead of judging just how the business works, be open to the possibility. I'm passionate, I'm enrolled, I need to know the step that's right in front of me, and I need to take that step right now. Some of you are waiting until you know everything before you're willing to even take one step forward. Well, that's what you have mentors for. That's what you have coaches for. Somebody to help you figure it out that says, take this step, now we'll take this step, now we'll take this step. When you learn to drive a car, the first time you got in the car, you had to look to see how to put the rear view mirror. You had to adjust the seats. You had to look over your shoulder. You had to guess this. You had to do that. You weren't quite sure how to drive the car, and now you get in the car. Actually, it's almost more dangerous once we know everything than when we first got started driving our car, because we paid more attention when we first started to drive the car than we do now oftentimes. All right. In this conversation, you're saying in your head, we both win if I take action before eternity. Now, if you are an analyzer personality, you write this down right now. My entire family will win if I'm just willing to jump off the diving board and take action before eternity happens. The next step in passion and enrolled, all of these steps, you're at least to stand once you get to the passionate and enrolled part, okay? And I would say that this is the conversation where I go with a power higher than me. I am the creator of the game of my life. Now, I want to talk about, there are 3 ways that you can play the game of your life. I look at life as if it is a game. And the first step, the first way to look at life in this game, pretend you're on a stage and I'm 71 years old. So I've got from 0 to maybe 95 or 100. That's what I'm aiming for. So that's the stage of my life. And so, yes, time of the essence for me, because in January I turned 71. But in the next 20 or 25 years that I have left in this life, what are the things that I absolutely am committed to accomplishing? Why are they important to me? Now, I can play the game because I can set on past success at this point, and I can be the observer of the game. And none of these ways of being are good or bad. They're all wonderful, but different things are available to us depending on which of the 3 ways we play the game of our life. So as an observer, I'm not suited up for the game. I don't have to worry about making any mistakes After all, if I'm not suited up and I didn't put my skates on, I'm not going to fall at the Olympics. I can't make a mistake with the remote control in my hand from the couch, but I sure can judge other people. I mean, when I'm watching a football game, I'm like, why didn't they go for that extra 2 points? Then the game wouldn't be a tied. We'd be ahead. And if they miss it, I go, well, aren't they so stupid? Why didn't they hang on to that ball? Why did they fumble? Well, easy for me to complain about it from the cheap seats, but one of the advantages of observing is that I get to judge everybody else's game. I get to have strong opinions about everything, but I'm not actually suited up in the game. And I will get depressed and I will get cynical from observing the game too long. We all need to observe once in a while because you get tired when you play the game too fast, too strong, too long if you don't just take a 10-minute break. But the problem with a lot of us is we think we're going to take a 10-minute break, and the next thing we know, 10 years have gone by and we still haven't made a move. So I want you to write this down on your pieces of paper. In order to be successful, I am willing to make moves before I am ready to make them. And I'm not saying jump out of an airplane without a parachute. I'm not even saying to jump out of the airplane. I'm saying let's get some lessons about jumping out of the airplane before you jump out. But you can't say that you're passionate and that you want to learn about skydiving and then never even, but you won't even get on the airplane at all. So you've got to move from observer to participant. Now, as a participant, you're in the game. You might make mistakes. You definitely will make mistakes. You cannot build your business without making a few mistakes here or there. I'm sorry if somebody else has told you some other get-rich-quick scheme, but I'm telling you that I have made mistakes. We all make mistakes. The point is, how long do I stay in the mistake? What kind of a backup plan do I have so that I can roll to a different way of doing it versus have the mistake be costly? I can make a mistake without it being costly. It doesn't have to cost me the whole game unless I'm so stupid I don't have any support or any team players around me to help me save myself from that mistake. But as a participant, you've got a coach, you've got somebody else that's calling in the plays. Therefore, if something goes wrong, you can blame the other person. That's what I like about participating. And as a participant, I almost win, but I get there. Our pastor was preaching on this just about 2 weeks ago. And I was like, okay, I'm going to use that in the next webinar that I teach. Because he said, you know, the children of Israel were looking at the promised land and they looked at it forever, but they were afraid to walk across and take possession of the promised land. As a participant, we can blame Moses when he comes down from the mountain. We can be scared. We can run around in circles. Okay, we do eat, we do have things work out okay for us, but we don't get to have the 100% total satisfaction of knowing with certainty that we are going to be successful and everything will be okay. So the third way to play the game of your life is called I am the creator of the game of my life. I have a higher power to back me up. I have a support team that I've set in place to back me up. I have a structure. I've been to classes. I've been thinking about this. I've been planning for this. Now I'm ready to make a move. And I'm going to make the move whether I think I'm ready or not, because I have got to get action into this game. And as the creator of the game, I'm calling the plays. This is 100% passionate. This is 100% you're going to get bruised. This is 100% your uniform's going to get muddy and dirty. But the life, the joy, the zest, the juice of life is on the field, calling the plays, standing up and be accounted for. In this area of the game, you're in a conversation that says, yes, we're going to win. My coaches are going to win. my Lord is going to win because he has a plan for my life. I'm going to win. My family's going to win. I can be a better person than I was yesterday. Yes, I've made mistakes in the past, but those mistakes don't call who I am for today. And when I get up in the morning, I'm going to be a better person in the morning than I was yesterday. And I'm worthy. How do I know I'm worthy? Not just through my own power, but because God says that I was worthy, because I am loved by somebody bigger than I am. Now, I know I've gone to preaching here. Whatever that looks like for you, I want you to fill in the blanks, but I want you to move in to creating a game, not just looking at the book that calls the plays and tells you what the plays are. What do you want your game to look like? Now, with your game in place, and as you create the game, as you keep reaching for your dreams, your structure of fulfillment comes into place. You need a declaration. This is the start of your structure of fulfillment. Everybody write this down. I am declaring X, Y, or Z. What is it that I'm declaring? I am going to declare failure. I just be honest with yourself. I am going to declare that I'm going to stay stuck in the mud here for, sometimes I get upset about something that would happen and I look at my watch and I make a declaration. You know what? I'm just going to be a victim for at least 30 minutes and I'm going to run it and tell my story. But when that 30 minutes is up, it's time to move forward again because you can't be successful looking in the rearview mirror. Once you make a declaration to yourself, I'm not even talking about making it to somebody else. I do want you to tell other people that would support you what your declaration is, but you make that declaration, it's a promise to you. Then you make a promise. In order for this declaration to happen, what do I need to do? If I declare that I'm going to get my driver's license and drive a car, what do I need to do first? I need to find out about the driver's test. I need to fill out for the license. I need to get somebody to drive me down to the driver's license where you take the test place. All those things. So I start promising myself, and it's called how many by when. What am I in this structure that I'm setting up? What am I promising? Like, no kidding, like a line in the sand. Unless I've dropped dead, this is going to happen next week. And sometimes we set goals that are too lofty because that lets us off the hook from keeping any promise. And sometimes we don't make any promise at all because that lets us off the hook. And sometimes we just lie about it to ourselves. So I'm telling you tonight to cut it out, make a promise, make it lofty enough that no, it isn't easy to reach, but not so lofty that you're not ever going to get there. At least make a promise about buying your first house, and then you can make a promise about buying the next house. What's it going to look like for you? And then I don't care if you make a declaration and a promise, unless you make a request, not of others. So this is how it looks for me, for you to support me. That I'm requesting that you treat me this way. I'm requesting, coach, that this kind of feedback works for me and this kind of I get overwhelmed and shut down. You make a President Kennedy just didn't declare that we were going to go to the moon. He had to enroll Congress in it. He had to enroll other politicians in helping him. Then he had to enroll staff and scientists. The reason we're on a webinar today is because President Kennedy declared we were going to go to the moon, because we now all have personal computers, because we didn't have the computer capacity or ability. He couldn't write the computer programs. He had to request a support team in order to get those programs written. So you make a declaration, you make a promise, you make a request. Okay, here's where the piece of paper comes in that I wanted you to get. I want you to look at we looked at 7 different commitment levels. And I want you to look at the toxic relationships that you might have yourself or in other people that you hang around in. There is, I've got this written a little bit wrong. There is toxic high energy. I want you to pay attention this week. How much time do I spend in toxic high energy? So that's combative, angry, arguing, worrying, um, just totally in drama and chaos. How much of your time do you spend in toxic high energy? And then there is toxic low energy. I've got the chart wrong. This should say toxic low energy. So toxic low energy is kind of a depressed state, or people that don't argue with you out loud, but they might be passive aggressive. So they say they're going to support you, but then they kind of laugh at you if you say you're going to lose 10 pounds next month. And they kind of remind you about all the times that you said you were going to lose 10 pounds next month and you didn't lose 10 pounds next month. All of that is toxic low energy. Then how many people and how much time do you spend yourself reading positive? So my dog has toxic high energy right now. She wants me to go and play if you hear her barking on the call. So positive low energy would be when I'm sitting quietly and I'm meditating or I'm thinking. You need some positive low energy. Sometimes the reason we aren't successful is because we're always in a high energy state. And our mind actually gets creative and thinks better. If you think the first thing you think when you wake up in the morning, notice what that is. And that thought, the very first thought you have right after you think I need to go to the bathroom, okay? But the first thought you have is going to set the pace of whether you're going to be in toxic thoughts all day or whether you're going to move to positive thoughts. And if you recognize that it's a toxic thought that you have first thing in the morning, you reframe that into something positive. So look at your positive low energy and other people that are around you that might have a positive energy around you, but they aren't really action takers. So they're more thinkers than action takers. You've got to surround yourself with some action takers as well as positive action takers, positive high energy people as well. And look at the amounts of time you're spending in each of these 4 areas. And you need to get to at least 75 or 80% of your days are spent in either positive low energy or positive high energy and around people. If you want to know what your income is going to be 5 years from now, you look at the 5 people you hang around with the most. And however much money they have, is about how much you'll have. So you need to step it up and start hanging out. I'm not saying get rid of your family. I'm not saying get rid of people that, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with people that have financial problems. But if you don't start hanging around with some people that don't have financial problems, what kind of an example are you going to have to show you how to get there? Okay. Does anybody have, if you've got any questions, type them in the chat box. And I'm pretty much done with where we are for this webinar. I hope that it has been positive for you guys. I hope that it's an encouragement for you. I hope it sets the pace. Next week, Coach Gregory is going to go into some meat and potatoes type deal making things, looking at multiple offers and some things like that that we haven't covered in quite some time. But we really need, as this year is really getting off the ground running, we really need to look at what stage of possibility are we in? What stage of winning and losing are we in? Who am I hanging out with? Even when I'm hanging out with myself, what's happening? Hang on a second. I see. Okay. All right. I see, Rich, that, or maybe you just had your hand up from the beginning. Connie has a question. Connie, can you type it in your chat? I'm not as experienced with the webinars as Gregory is, so I may not be able to see it. If you all want to write to me, it's Toni Ray, ToniRaye, at gregorydowning.com. Thank you, Connie. I see your comment. She said, thank you. This has been helpful. So I'm praying for everyone that's on this webinar today, and I know that you're going to have a blessed week. I want you to go away with this. Life has a way of working out. And how do I know life has a way of working out? Because you guys are all here. You are not destitute. You may feel internally like you're destitute, but I suggest to you that it's kind of a lie that it's not going to work out. However it works out, there's a move that you can make. I love you all, and I will see you again. Send me an email if you want to. Night all.